Hey, this is AJ with Keyrenter, your favorite property manager. Today we're going to talk about self-showings versus personal showings. And there's a lot of controversy on this topic, which is why it's really fun to talk about, because who doesn't love to talk about something that's controversial? You can find good and bad about both these topics all over on the internet. So let's talk about it a little bit. And we'll talk about it from the perspective of the landlord and then the perspective of the tenant or future tenant. So let's first talk about the future tenant. So you want to go see a property, you love it, it looks good online. You're like, okay, let's go check this out. So you reach out to Keyrenter, and either you have the option to have someone show it to you, which is happening with some properties, or you can show up to the front door. There's a keypad on a lockbox. You punch in the keypad, which will tell you all the instructions when you apply for that particular property. And then you grab the keys, open the door, you walk yourself through the property, check out all the things you want to, take all the time you want, look through things. There's usually nothing in the unit, so you can't hurt anything. And then at that point, you can decide, is this the right property for me or not? Oftentimes you'll be able to go see the garage or the parking stalls, maybe go check out the community pool or the clubhouse. So that is the self-showing option. When you put the key back in, it will automatically erase the codes so no one else can re-enter the property. And you'll have been able to see it at your time, your will, and just kind of on your own account, right? Without someone there in the property looking with you. And it's not as easy to have questions answered, but you can find typically a lot of those things online or reach out to us after the fact. So that's the self-showing option for tenants. For landlords, it is nice because instead of relying on certain windows for someone to be at the property to show it, the tenants can come whenever they want, which is kind of cool, because then we tend to get more showings that way, and it tends to work out really good for their schedule. Even if it's later at night or on a weekend when someone's not available, your property can be shown more and more. A lot of times there could be some questions about security or is anything going to happen to my property. We've not had any incidences at all in the 10 years we've been doing it. And again, once they put in that code, they open the door, we know exactly who entered at what time and when, because it's all digitally coded, and we know we have their information, fully contact information and driver's license information before they enter. And then at that point, we know exactly who's in your property, at what time, for how long they were there, and everything about them that we would need to know. And then once they leave the property, that tenant or prospective tenant, then again, the codes are erased, they can't get back in the unit, and it's pretty secure, it's pretty safe. Again, we haven't had any issues with that. So that's self-showing for both the tenant and for the landlord. Now, if the landlord wants the showings in person or the tenant, and that can go either way, from the tenant's perspective, yes, you have someone there, you can answer questions, but you do have to schedule the time when that person will be there, or the showing hours, which is typically a window of like 3 to 6 on a Thursday, or 1 to 2 on a Saturday or Friday. So you have to kind of fit your schedule within that window. Oftentimes it'll be nights from 6 to 8 p.m. at nights, or when most of the showings happen, and that just depends on the location of the property, where it is around the valley, and who's available to show it. So for the landlord, for personal showings, that works out well when there's existing tenants in the property already and there needs to be that extra level of security. We're happy to do that when that's needed. Or they just really feel uncomfortable with having the digital self-showings, and we're happy to accommodate that as well. But either ways have both pros and cons. We actually lean more towards self-showings because it is faster and the units get rented quicker. It seems like those that are renting units want that flexibility and that ease of just going to the property when they want, how they want, for how long they want. So we tend to err on that side, and more of our properties go that route than self-showings, but there is an option either way. If you're a landlord or a tenant, depending on the property, we can work with you, and we want to make it happen for you. The important thing is we get your unit rented as quickly as possible. So go check us out. All the units are online, Keyrenter, Provo, or stgeorge.com, and go to the rental page and you'll see them right there. Thanks.